Hi guys, decided to do this small little video to talk to you guys about something which, well, an IEM that has just been recently released, and I hope to get it soon. I hope to have it still this week if possible, which is the Moondrop Dusk. And well, obviously when I get it, I will give my assessment. I'm sure it's got many positive attributes. But I think the biggest thing that's being maybe overlooked here, or not given its deserved attention, is the fact that, and I think it's down to the fact that everybody is all enamored with the whole DSP thing. Now, let's set the stage here so that you guys can understand what I'm trying to say. I've got nothing against DSPs. I've got nothing against equalizing. I've done it once or twice when I see it's really necessary. When I used to do my car audio stuff, I used to equalize way more than what I do now with earphones. But with earphones, I always try to, as much as possible, make sure that the sound, if I am going to change it, is changed in a mechanical manner. So I prefer to play around with the tuning, with the filters and this and that, so I obtain the sound that I want. I believe that to a certain extent, equalizing, you are kind of cheating. Okay, now that's the one thing. Second thing, I've said it plenty times, and I'll say it again, and I will repeat. There's nothing wrong with equalizing, nothing wrong. But you know, when we talk about cables, for example, it's a topic that always generates a lot of controversy, and there are those which will take out their pitchforks and want to kill me because I don't believe in cables 100%, and I don't. I do believe, yes, is that if their cables have specific electric characteristics, that when those characteristics of that specific cable interact with certain IEMs, the symbiosis that's created between the two can lead to some improvements here or there in the frequency response. You know, if an IEM is inherently badly tuned, it's not a cable that's going to make it now miraculously sound good. Okay, that's one thing. Tips, on the other hand, no, or something which is more noticeable, the changes of the tips on a specific IEM. So that's another thing that I wanted to also put out there so that you guys keep that in mind. And then the main thing here is really, okay, the dusk. I'm positive that everything was done to try and obtain the sound that was pretended to be obtained with the dusk in its analog configuration. I mean, maybe a few more things could have been done, but it was all about striking a balance. But I believe that maybe something was left out intentionally so that the DSP could be justified. And the DSP is basically, as you guys have seen from other reviewers that have already reviewed it, it's basically correcting the issues that the Dusk has in its normal analog configuration. Now, there's a reviewer, if you guys know or have heard of, it's called Olaf. And Olaf is a big proponent of equalizing. And the truth is, if I've, like I mentioned, I don't have anything against equalizing, but if I do give equalizing a little bit more merit or a little bit more deserved attention, it's because of him. And why? Because of the work that he's done with, for example, the earphone TWSs, and the work which he's done with the Soundcore, the Q30 headphones, the Bluetooth headphones. And if some of you have actually gone to the trouble of equalizing the Q30 to his suggested parameters, or then also used one of the dozens of tunings that he's done for the Earphone Free Pro 2, you will come to the conclusion that equalizing can be miraculous. Yes, it can play an amazing effect on the overall sound. And I mean, the EWS, the earphone, the Free Pro 2, and now more recently the Free Pro 3, but the Free Pro 2, because of the fact that you can gain access to its internal, let's say, its internals via an app, which will allow for a 10-band parametric equalizer to be adjusted. When you hear some of the tunings that he was able to do for that TWS, you will come to the conclusion that it is an amazing little TWS. It is absolutely unreal, and the limitations of it being better are down to the driver quality and to the quality of the actual little amplifier being used inside there. Those are the limitations. But what he's been able to do with the equalizing of that TWS to make it sound the way that it does is nothing short of amazing. And many times I'm listening to it, and I'll actually put a proper, analog earphone on and so on and so forth, and I'll say to myself, holy crap, this thing actually does sound really good because it's keeping up with this IM or that IM. Wow. And that's exactly here what's been happening here with the DSP. The DSP is a product which costs $1.50 to make, and it is obviously equalizing the dusk to resolve its issues and giving you several abilities to have several equalizations already present, which transform the dusk from a acceptable, let's say, analog IM to something which is exceptional. At least that's according to the reviews that I've already heard and seen. So now, are we to believe that we must all go and throw away our amplifiers and our DACs, be it, I don't know, be it our Geshelli Labs DAC or our own DACs and amplifiers, or topping DACs and amplifiers, and so many other brands? We're going to throw them all away and now use the DSP because the DSP is the best. This just shows, and no insult meant to anybody, this just shows how mediocre our ears are. Because if something which is so cheap that is able to equalize an earphone to sound from good to amazing, then this whole thing that you have to use an expensive amplifier and an expensive DAC and this and that, it's all BS. It is all BS. It's all down to perception, and then our ears suck. That's the reality. However much it pains me to say this, that's the reality. Now, if I was to do the same exercise like they did, this case Moondrop and Clinical did on the Dusk, if I was to do the same exercise, let's say I take a Performer 8 for my full, for example, or let's say I take a Duno SA6 MK2, or let's say I take let me see another IM. Hey, I don't know, whatever. If I take any IM, and if I put in the time to equalize and create equalizations that are going to resolve its issues and bring out the best performance that specific IM has to offer, I can then connect it up to any DSP, and I will get a fantastic sound. So, it's actually interesting to see how I hear some of these reviewers praising so highly that it's a market disruptor and this that. It's not a market disruptor. It's I'm sure a very good IM, a very competent IM, but what is being done here is a very smart marketing, very smart marketing. Instead of telling us, guys, you got to get yourself an equalizer and equalize the IM to get the best performance, they've provided it for us, period. And you are now using a very cheap quality little amplifier inside of that little DAC. Okay, so it's not a no, because we have to use AKM DACs because AKM DACs are the best, or we have to use ESS DACs because ESS DACs are the best, or no, we have to use a Cirrus Logic DAC because no, it's nonsense, people. It is nonsense. If we are going to listen to everything mutual, then yes, then I can accept that you will see or notice or hear specific differences between one DAC and other DAC and another and one I and that, with specific IM. I can understand all that, but all of that can be resolved by equalizing, and that's basically what is being said here. So if you take a decent quality IM, so if I take, again, like I said, one of those IMs that I mentioned before, hey, I can take a Delci, and if I spend enough time equalizing it, and I then hook it up to, let's say, a QDL X5K, which has an amazing 20-band parametric equalizer, okay? If I take the QDL X5K, or you want me to believe that I'm not going to get better performance than I get with the DSP? Hell yeah, I'm going to get better performance, because it's way better in what it does. It allows me more versatility. It doesn't boggle and then stop working like the DSP does. It sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't work. It doesn't even work on Apple. So if I take a QDLX 5K, I equalize my delta properly, and I really resolve all the problems, I will have an IEM that can be every bit as good as a singularity. So why would I go buy, a singularity? You understand what I'm saying? I know that maybe a lot of you are not wanting to hear this, but that's the reality. Let's just relax, calm down a little bit, and not get all carried away. I mean, this whole thing of, no, we use the planar tweeters because the planar tweeters resolve the 6K peak. Okay, fine, I can understand that it resolved the 6K peak, but that 6K peak could have also been resolved using just the equalizer and spending a little bit more time, and the limitations there would have just been the number of bands that you probably would have needed to resolve that issue without letting the rest fall out of context. I don't know. I feel that we let ourselves get carried away a little bit sometimes. We let ourselves just get overwhelmed, and let me again repeat and say, I have no doubt whatsoever that the Dusk is a good product, but when I review it, when I get it, obviously I will review it with a DSP, but for me the Dusk counts, or is worthwhile in its analog. That's how I am going to compare it. I'm not going to take the Dusk in its DSP settings and now start comparing it with, let's say, Tang Zhuan Wu Gate or any other IM for that matter. Because if I'm going to compare it in its equalized manner, then I also have to equalize all the other IMs and then get a proper comparison. I just saw a review where the gentleman compared the CKLVX to the Dusk, and in its analog setting, he was saying that he preferred overall the CKLVX, and I wouldn't be surprised, because the CKLVX is a very competent IM. It's very well tuned, but in its DSP setting, he liked more the Dusk over the CKLVX. Well, it doesn't make sense to do that comparison, because for me to be fair in that comparison, I have to take the CKLVX, I have to now equalize it to put it in equal footing, so that when I compare one thing, I'm comparing it in equal. It's the same thing as if I was going to use a car. I'm comparing two cars, and one car has nitrous oxide and the other car doesn't have nitrous oxide. Come on, I can take a 300 horsepower car, naturally aspirated, and take a car that's only got 200 horsepower, but I put some nitrous oxide on it, and it's going to be perhaps perform even better than the 300 horsepower car. So if I'm going to compare the two, I've got to compare the two on the same basis. So that's a little side, or a little extra something that I wanted to say. Let's compare things on equal footing. So if you are going to be comparing the Dusk using the DSP, compare it to other IEMs also being equalized. Don't compare it to other IEMs in their stock format. It doesn't make sense. It is not fair. Okay, doesn't make sense. Compare to other IMs, also equalized, also better tuned, because that's what the equalization is doing. It's better tuning it. All that bass that you're basically seeing, and I've seen that on several graphs of the Dusk now, all that extra bass that you're getting is down to the fact that the DSP is giving it, because in its analog setting, the Dusk and the Blessing 3 basically have got the same bass. I mean, it's the same drivers. There shouldn't be a difference there, and there isn't. And it's not the carbon faceplate which will slightly change internally the resonances, and the difference is so minimal that I don't think anybody will even notice that. That's the reality. It's not that it's making the difference there. So anyway, just let's wrap this thing up here, so that I don't carry on ranting here for half an hour. And I'm actually not ranting, I'm just wanting to call you guys out to a certain specific issue. The Moondrop Dusk, I've got no doubts it's a very good IEM. That's unquestionable. But let's be a little bit more sensible, okay? The DSP, if you're going to be using it with a DSP, then honestly, those that are going to be using it with a DSP, you should throw away your other stuff in terms of your DAPs and DACs, because it makes no sense you having it, because now you have a dongle which costs $1, outperforming your $1,000 DAC amp combo. Okay, so if you're going to use it that way, then take the time, since even the equalizations have been made available, and connect it up to a QDLX 5K, or connect it up to an ES100. Okay, those are way more competent, but way more competent than the little DSP. They won't be so problematic in their working. They will work way better, I'm sure. And I'm sure that because they are more competent, they've got a little bit more power, that you will get even better sound using the same EQ settings as the DSP with the Dusk. I'm sure you're going to get even better sound. Is it going to be a monumental difference? Probably not. But I'm sure, because I have no doubt that that DSP cable, the way that it's been implemented, it clips very easily if you really push it. So that's why that's why the tuning had to be done the way it was done. So now if you're using something like a QDLX 5K or the ES100, which has way more power, you're not going to be having those issues. And that's it, guys. All right. Anyway, I've got a few nice reviews coming for you guys this week. Hope you will enjoy it. I hope you've seen the reviews that I've just recently done of this one, Woolgate, which, by the way, I've been listening to it this whole weekend using some Divinos Velvet tips, and very nice combination. Very, very nice combination. The Divinos Velvet on this one, Woolgate, very, very nice. And yeah, that's it. All right. You take care now. Bye-bye.